guys, it is Aoife from Fred Weasley Died Laughing, and I'm here with another weekly wrap up. So this week I went through 5 books. One of those was an audiobook, and I finished that one more or less first, I think, and it was Hate is Such a Strong Word by Sarah Ayoub. This follows, this is kind of like a YA contemporary set in, I think it's Melbourne, Australia, and it follows a Lebanese Australian girl called Sophie, and she's 17 years old, and she's really strict parents. She's very much confined to just a Lebanese community within Australia. She goes to a Lebanese school. Everyone she socialises is Lebanese. Her parents don't let her hang out with anyone who isn't Lebanese, or has Lebanese parents, and lives within a Lebanese culture. And she's feeling really confined within this. She wants to go out, and have, go to parties and maybe meet boys, and she's just really controlled by her parents. And we see her kind of dealing with this in the book, and she's also dealing with some racism that she sees cropping up between Australians and Australian Lebanese people. And then an Australian Lebanese boy, he's half Australian, half Lebanese, arrives to her school, and everyone treats him really bad because his father is Australian and not Lebanese. Sees that that's wrong, and she becomes friends with him, and then it kind of starts to grow into something more. So I did really enjoy this book for the most part. I really liked the narration of it. Her voice was really young, and her voice just really suited the character of Sophie, and even her frustrations, but her youth came across as well really well. And I just really enjoyed how constant of a character Sophie was. She had these real grounded ideals of who she wanted to be, and different things that, yes, she wanted to go to parties and she wanted to go out more, but she didn't necessarily want to go out and drink a lot or go out in these really crazy outfits that left very little to the imagination. She still had her own morals and her own ideals, but she just wanted to break out of that box that her father had put her in just that little bit, just to gain a little bit more freedom. And I just really enjoyed seeing the way she worked around that, but I just felt like she was just this really grounded 17-year-old, and I just really enjoyed her, because I think that not everyone is at 16, 17 is really flaky and, is a bit mad or whatever. There are a lot of really grounded people like that. I do think the ending wasn't as concrete as I would have liked. I feel like she did break through some things with her dad, but she didn't break through everything. I think I would have liked that to have been a little bit more open near the end of it. I just feel like she didn't get as far as she could have. The relationship between her and the new boy Kasha Hadi, I really enjoyed that relationship. It was really cute and really flirty for a lot of the time. They definitely did have a nice connection that wasn't just physical attraction. They were very in touch mentally. But yeah, I really enjoyed their relationship. There were some bits in it that she was getting mad at him for no reason, and there was really stupid bits in it at some points, where you could see that her kind of immaturity came up there where it didn't come up in other parts. So yeah, there was that, but I did enjoy most of it at the end of the day, and I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. The second book I read this week was The Inconceivable Life of Quinn by Marianna Baer. This is a kind of magical realism YA contemporary story, and it's about a girl called Quinn Cutler, and she is 16 when she realises that she is pregnant. But the only thing is that she's never had sex. She has a boyfriend, but they've never done anything that could lead to a conception, and it's just really confusing for her. So she has no idea what's going on, and then people the word leaks out that she is this 16-year-old pregnant virgin, and these religious fanatics end up kind of praising her as the next Virgin Mary, and that she's going to give birth to the next Messiah and stuff. And there's all this stuff going on, but at the same time she's still trying to figure out how she got pregnant. There is obviously someone out there who is this baby's dad, and she has no idea who it is. So this was okay. I didn't love it, but I did enjoy it. I don't think I would have liked to spend any more time on it than I did. I think I only read it in 2 days or something, and that was enough time for me with it. I did like Quinn. There was this kind of dark undertone to this book. It seems really sweet and nice, and this magical realism element of it, and as you can see the book is just so pretty. I just really love the look of the book, and it's so pretty, and they have little bits in the middle, if you can see here, for time gaps. I think it just is really cute. But there is definitely this dark undertone to it that I wasn't quite expecting. The fact is that she doesn't know if maybe she was sexually assaulted or maybe she was raped, and she's just completely blocked it out of her memory. And there is this where you're a reader, you don't know, and like we're not told enough, so we are actually like suspecting whether someone in her life, someone very close to her, could have hurt her. And then we're seeing some things come up from her past that isn't making that totally like illogical. So yeah, there were some bits of it where I just was like, oh my god, like what if this ends up turning out to be horrible? What if it is something really, really bad? And I was just a little bit afraid for a lot of the book because of that. But at the same time, there was this sweetness to it as well. And Quinn is this very sweet teenager. I do feel she definitely had a disconnect with the baby for a lot of it. Like, we didn't hear too much from her about the baby moving around or her talking to the baby or doing anything with the baby. I do feel like she was a little bit, even though she was pregnant obviously and she was having to deal with it and trying to figure out how she got pregnant, I still felt a slight disconnect between her and the pregnancy, and I don't even know if that makes sense. But this, like, for a while, like, you could be like reading what she was doing and you could actually forget that she was pregnant, like, because, you know, there wouldn't be a mention of her bump or her clothes not fitting or the baby kicking or anything like that, like. And I just felt that a bit strange. I did really love her boyfriend in this. He was just absolutely adorable. I really, really enjoyed him. I loved the support system he gave her. He was just so supportive of her for like majority of the book, and it was really, really nice. Her parents, her mum was okay. I didn't like her dad a lot. And then her brother and sister were alright. They weren't the best, but I think the best supporting seemed to come from her boyfriend, and I really, really just enjoyed their time together, and I just loved their interactions. So yeah, I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. And like, I did enjoy it, it just wasn't the best book I've ever read, but I would definitely love to hear what other people think about this book. The next book I read was a NetGalley book, and it was Sweetpea by CJ Skuse. This is a kind of thriller book about this woman who's a complete psychopath and wants to kill people, and her name is Marianna, and a lot of people call her Sweetpea, hence the book's title. And it's just basically her going on about all these people who annoy her every single day and how she wants to kill them. And she kind of talks about like maybe there's been people in the past that she's killed or people that she's really definitely planning to kill. And I was really, really excited for this one. I thought it was going to be really kind of a little bit like maybe like You by Caroline Kepnes, like that kind of thing. And unfortunately it just wasn't. It just really, really fell short for me. I don't know what it was. I think I started reading it, I don't know, maybe I wasn't just in the right mind frame for this type of book, because I started to read it and straight away we get like Rhiannon's diary entries, and every single day she lists all the people that have annoyed her that day and who she wants to kill, so it's her kill list. And so we get that, and then she starts ranting and raving about her day, and she was just so angry, like she was just so filled with anger, and I felt like she was shouting at me, and I just really didn't like that, and I felt like I was being attacked by the character, and I don't know, I just was like, oh my god, I don't know if I'm feeling this girl after a few chapters. And it took me till about 30 to 50% before I was really kind of like felt the story, and I got a feel for the story, and I stopped thinking about DNFing it, because I was really thinking about DNFing this book for a while, just because I was really not feeling her at all. And then it seemed to go okay for a while, and I kind of accepted her for who she was, and then near the end it just all kind of became a bit of a mess. I will say that this book is supposed to be humorous, like it isn't supposed to be a very, very, very serious book, I don't think. It's supposed to take it as a bit of a comedic dark humour. And there is definitely humour in this, and there were definitely times where I had a bit of a laugh at it, and you know, some of the things she says, like even the people on her kill list, some of them were actually really funny, because they're things that like you would get annoyed at every day, like people would, like everyone encounters these type of people all the time. So like you could almost say like, all right, yeah, like if I had a kill list, these type of people would probably be on it. So I did quite enjoy that. That was really, really good. But I just felt like this book just kept trying to go too far, and it kept trying to be too outrageous. And then it got to the point where I was like, okay, why isn't this girl being caught? Like she doesn't seem to be very meticulous about her killing, and I just felt like she would definitely have been caught in real life by then. I don't know, I hope so. But like, yeah, there were just some hits where I was just like, what are you doing? Like she was just absolutely insane. There was a bit of a twist at the end which I thought was really, really clever. I wasn't expecting it. But then there was like the very last chapter, and I was just like, oh my god, like come on. I don't know, there was just something about this book, I just felt very disconnected with it. Just didn't like the main character at all. I do think people who do like You by Caroline Kepnes can check it out. It's not as tight and it's not as neatly put together the way that is. And she's definitely, for me, she was definitely not a Joe. With Joe in You by Caroline Kepnes, you fall in love with him a little bit and you really like get on his side. With her, you don't get that much. Like, I was very much like, you are a psychotic bitch and I would not like you in my life, like you're not a very nice person at all. Where with Joe, he completely fools you into thinking that he is this really nice guy. So I think if people do like You by Caroline Kepnes and maybe The Girl in 60 by Ayoub would maybe like to check this out. I feel like it's a bit of a mix between the two of them. But as I said, those ones are actually a little bit better than this one for me. So yeah, I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars in the end, just because I was just so done with it by the time I was finished. I was so happy for it to be finished. And yeah, it was just too much. Another book I read this week was one that I have been really wanting to read for a really long time, and it's Crazy Rich Asians by Kwan. I think this is actually becoming a movie really soon. And it's the first book. I think there's 3 books of this series, or this trilogy, and this is the first one, and it is about a girl called Rachel who has a boyfriend called Nicholas, and he invites her to go to Singapore. And these aren't like young people, like Rachel is 27, 28 and Nicholas is 32, and he invites her to spend the summer with him and his family in Singapore, where his family are based. And she decides that she will go because they're both professors in college, so they have like, you know, they have that time to be able to go. And she decides to go with him, and then when she gets there she realises that his family are like absolute billionaires and they are absolutely insane, and everything to do with them is about money, and they're just money obsessed, and yeah, she just really does not fit in with them. So we're just learning about this intense family, this really, really crazy family, seeing how Rachel fits in. We're seeing like what they think of Rachel and all the different schemes they're doing to try and get Rachel out of the picture. So Nick doesn't want to marry her because they're like, she can never be part of their family. She comes from nowhere. Her family are from mainland China, which apparently is something wrong, like, you know, there's something wrong with that apparently. So yeah, it's just really, really insane. Like, a lot of the people in this book are really, really horrible. Like, I think there's maybe 4 or 5 characters altogether that are like good people, and then everyone else is terrible, really, really terrible. But I did really enjoy this. I enjoyed kind of, because I have heard about that there is this like really like this culture of extremely rich people in Singapore, and I had kind of heard about that, but I've never been able to have like maybe a better, like a proper look into it. Obviously this is a very fictionalized version of that, but I did like kind of seeing that kind of side that you don't normally see. I really enjoyed the food description in this, were really, really good. Like, there was a lot of notes at the end, if you can see there, like asterisks, and like you have these notes at the end that are like explaining different foods that they're talking about, or different things like Asian things that like a lot of other people like wouldn't know what they are, so they're all explained at the end. And a lot of the Singapore, like traditional Singaporean dishes are all explained down there. They just sounded so good, like they sounded really, really nice. So I was like really like getting hungry reading this book because all the food sounded amazing. So yeah, I did end up enjoying this. At the end I was a bit like, oh, like, is that it? And then I'd actually forgotten there was another book, so I do have to read the others and see how I feel. But I will say, like, this is one of those books where everyone is horrible. Don't expect to like fall in love with the characters, or like you fall in love with them because they're so outrageous. You don't fall in love with them because they're nice people. But I did enjoy this, and I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. And the last book I finished this week is one that I was really anticipating, and it was Stay With Me by Ayobami Adebayo. I love that name. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but I love that name so much. And this book is so beautiful as well. As you can see, there's yellow pages, which are just absolutely gorgeous. And this is on the, it was on the long list. I don't know if it got on the short list for the Bailey's Women's Prize for Fiction. So I'm presuming I got on the short list because I think it was one of the ones that was really predicted to be on the shortlist. But I just knew I wanted to read this. This is set in Nigeria and is obviously diverse and own voices, and so is Crazy Rich Asians, I should say that as well. This is set in Nigeria, and it is about a woman called Yazidi. I don't know if I'm saying that right either, so I apologise. And she basically has been married to her husband for 4 or 5 years, and they just cannot conceive. They haven't been able to conceive a child, and she's feeling really, really pressured to have a child. She really, really wants a child, and then his family end up forcing him to marry a second wife, and she has to deal with this, the fact that her husband has a second wife, and he could have children with her, and this second wife could maybe like overtake her in position of like first wife. But even being a first wife instead of an only wife is like bad. Like only wife is obviously better than just a first wife. So we see her dealing with a lot of this, and it just kind of spans a few years. So I can't say too much about this book because there are a lot of things in it that like would be spoilers. But I did enjoy it. I just didn't enjoy it as much as I thought it would, but I did enjoy kind of the culture that I was learning about. Like obviously I don't know too much about Nigerian culture. I didn't really know the thing about like a man having multiple wives even in like the 80s. There's this whole thing where the wives always have to, or the women always have to kneel to different people. Like they kneel to their husband, or they kneel to their mother-in-law or their brother-in-law and stuff like that. And I never knew that they would have to do that, and I just thought that that was really interesting. And then we're also seeing some kind of political things that are happening in the background, like different coups that are happening, and then like a presidential election that's a really big deal. And usually gets to vote for the first time at one point as well, and we're just seeing how that all affects her. And then we're also learning about like different raids that took place in Nigerian neighbourhoods where these people were like, you know, really like going around and robbing these houses, and the police were like nowhere to be seen. So they think that like the police might have had something to do with it, that maybe the police were in on the raids, and how corrupt it was like that. And apparently this was something that would happen quite a lot. Wasn't happening quite as much in this book, but then we know in the future that it would happen quite a lot, and it was a regular occurrence. So that was just all really, really interesting, and I really enjoyed that. This is a bit more of a depressing read. Like it's not a very happy-go-lucky read or anything. It's a little bit more melancholy, but overall I did quite enjoy it. It just didn't really enthuse me the way I thought it was going to do. So I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. And this is really short as well. It's only like it's like 280 pages I think. So I read it in like a day and a half, or even just a day. Like I read the majority of it in one day. So it was really quick to fly through. So yeah, 3 out of 5 stars. And that is everything that I finished this week. At the moment I'm reading The Inferior by Peadar and Guilin, which I'm not really feeling at the moment, but I'm hoping if I get a little bit more into it I will enjoy it. I'm only on like chapter 3 right now, so I'm not too far in. So yes, please let me know what you guys are reading and what you guys think of the books that I have read this week. Please leave a comment down below as always, and I'll see you guys again next time.